Hello world! WayofTime here, bringing to you another episode of EEPower. So, all I did while I was gone was just neatened up this area. So this is now a solid wall with the machines actually recessed. Now this does mean that the room is slightly smaller than before. I guess I could largen, air quotes, the area just by taking off the top three like it is with this. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, I also added a lever with a transposer here. So this transposer is basically acting as somewhat of a stopgap for the tube that's in here. The tube that's in here normally goes into the grinder, which is over here, and does all of its grinding and etc. Whereas this transposer, when it's open, will instead go take all the stuff that's in the relay and send it to the macerator instead. So it'll be a lot quicker. Some stuff might accidentally go to the grinder, but it doesn't really matter. What really matters is the fact that this is now meant for speed. Now, I could fancy this up by having it so that there's another wire going into the wall or something with another transposer that's preventing stuff going to the grinder when this is flipped up, rather when it's off, using a NOT gate. But I don't wanna. Anyways, so let's actually start this episode. Now, what I'm thinking of doing is actually altering this so, well, as you see, there are a bunch of small little tiny incy-bincy little dusts up there, and I want to be able to package them all up so that it would be nice and, sorry, gotta change the zoom on my mini-map, so it'd be nice and, well, turned into dust because upgraded this to a gold chest because there is a lot of these mini dusts. Tiny piles. So what I'm thinking what we're going to need to do is actually get a transposer, either a transposer or a sorter, to manage all of the dust. Actually, a sorter might be a good idea since, well, let's see how we can word this. The sorter would be a good idea because it has a much larger inventory and we won't have to use a bajillion filters to be able to get everything. So just having a sorter here, it's right next to the wires, so that will be easy. And we need to send it off to its merry blue yonder. The tube will probably have to go under, do some little ditsy doodles, and then go to a packager. So let's clear an area for the packager that we're going to use. And you guys are probably saying, what is a packager way? Well, let's actually get the packager and show you what it means. You have a package, sir. The packager is basically a machine that when you throw items in, it'll look at either a 2x2 or 3x3 crafting grid composed of entirely those items, and then attempt to make those items. Easy enough to understand, I hope. So that should be all we need. So we need to make the packager, so let's get the iron that's needed. The cobble that will be needed is easily remedied, seeing as the fact that it's already in there. These transposers, I wish I made them into filters, but no matter. Okay, so let's actually make it. We're going to need to make a craft packet maker and a craft packet stamper, which is going to require 2 of these first of all. So let's put those in, let's put the pistons in, and we're going to make the first one, then we're going to make the second one, which is simply just taking all this and making one of these, and then I believe it's at the bottom, putting this all here, and then the last thing is at the top. Good. So let's get all these items in, and then we'll be able to work around. Now this machine, the items, let's just look at the inventory. There's only 2 slots. Now, the bottom and top represent this slot, whereas all the sides represent this one. So what we're going to need to do is have the tube go from the top or the bottom. Top, bottom, top, bottom. Without thinking, we can just have it go from the bottom. Okay, so the tube will need to go there, and we'll probably need to get a relay as well with the sorter. So if we have the relay go here, or the relay here. No, the relay can't go. Yes, the relay can go here. We'll have the relay here. The tubes will need to go under here. So let's put a tube here and put this back on top of it, as well as our wire, because I think we need to wire it properly for some odd reason. And then we'll have this here. No, a relay won't actually work. Now let's think of, well, the reason why the relay won't work is because it'll relay any quantity to this inventory. And we don't want just any quantity, because let's just get a dust to show you what the reasoning is. Let's get 5 dusts of some sort. Wow, that's actually a good quantity that we have here. So just throwing this in the machine, you can see that we made a gold dust, but this tiny pile of gold dust remains, which is not exactly the most feng shui thing that there is. Feng shui? What the heck way? I have no idea why you came up with the word feng shui to describe this. Okay, I'm losing it. Though, what's new? Okay, so instead of that, what we're probably going to need to do is put a chest here and have a variety of filters. These filters are going to need to pull out all of the items that it can. And that will probably be simple enough. Now, it's going to need to pull out 4 items at a time, and we'll probably have it on some sort of lazy timer. So let's see. We'll have a filter here, and we'll have a filter here, filter here, filter here. And we'll need to bring the tubes around like so. And they're all going to need to run on some sort of, in better words, lazy timer. So a timer that's only going like, how fast does this go? And the filter doesn't pull 5 quickly. It's going to, probably have to have it go at 1 second intervals, though 2 seconds will still be good. Now what we need to do is then send it back to the sorter, which means that it'll need to go out this way. So when we actually send the items will need to go out over here. We're going to need to actually have a cover here and be sent, and a filter or transposer needs to be here to make sure that the right items are going there. Or rather, this does not eject directly into tubes, so a transposer or a filter, I think a transposer works, though I know definitely a filter works to act almost like a bypass, like almost as if the item is getting shot out of the inventory. And we are going to need a bit more wood, so let's grab some more wood. Heaven forbid we need it, and then we can get on to some more crafting. Okay, we do have our wood, but we are going to need a few more of those nice handy-dandy little silicon wafers. So let's see, how much redstone do I have? Not a whole lot. So I probably will need to shovel it and just grab a bunch of redstone from somewhere. But we're going to need some more wafers, so let's put half a stack of this into an alloy furnace. So that should be good, and we're going to need to cut this up a little and throw this in, and we'll make, what is it, 4 wafers? Yeah, 4 wafers. I think that should, no, we're gonna make more. 8 wafers, that's the amount. Okay, now that I can maths, let's go onwards, and let's see, why do I even have this or this? I don't know. I'm losing it. So we're going to need to make the filters, and And is filters all that we're going to need? No, we're going to need to make 5 filters in total. So that's probably going to comprise all of these. So we also will need to get pistons. So let's get a few pistons by getting a stack of wood. And we're going to need redstone. So 1, 2... So that's 5 pistons. Let's get 8 in total. Now that we have the pistons, we'll be able to make all the other stuff, which is simple enough. Here we go. Gold. A golden opportunity indeed. And we're going to need to just quickly grab our red doped wafers, throw them in. See, I told you it was 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This 5th one is for the Sortron, which we're going to need to compose right now, which is going to be our iron. And we're going to need 2 wafers, I believe, as well as 1 solitary ingot of blue. Alloy. Sorting machine, check. Filters, check. Gonna need some more tubes. And is it bronze or brass? It's brass, so we're going to need to get the brass. And I think 4 ingots shall be satisfactory. So just quickly throw this in. Hopefully we don't want to mess any potential recipe by doing something idiotic, which would never happen, by the way. And we'll just throw these together, get a bit of glass, and we don't have glass, do we? Be right back when I get some more tubes. Okay, I figured I'd need a bit more redstone as well, so I went and got 5 solitary ores of redstone, so that should be sufficient. We'll just throw it in and have it work its magic as it is going on to the cutter. And what I think we'll go for is to get some redstone tubes, which should be a little easier to manage. So, now that we have our brass ingots, we'll just throw them in and throw all of our glass in and get some tubes. Now, we're going to need to make some of them as redstone tubes, but we can manage to get that in a bit. So, let's get the sorter on, and we'll put the sorter here and orient it properly. Oh, it was at the right... There we go. And just putting these tubes here, we'll cover them up in a bit. Now we're going to also need to get a chest, and it seems like all our redstone is working, and it's going to get sorted a bit more, and we'll have the... Do I have a redstone area? No, I do not. So it's going to end up in my junk chest for some reason. Well, it's not quite junk, seeing as it's a necessary evil. It seems like we have tiny piles of glowstone dust, I think that is. Let's see what you are. Yep, okay, so that makes sense. And this is a necessary amount of redstone, since we're going to tube some stuff up. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so we got our filters. That'll be good. We'll get some redstone tubing. And we're going to... we need a chest. That's it. Okay, 1 single chest to the rescue. We'll take that, and put you back in for some reason. Oh, I made 5. Sorry, I'm going to borrow a term from the British. Bloody hell! This is a sticky wicket. What are we gonna do with 5 chests? Okay, I'm starting to turn Welsh or something. I'm not too sure. Okay, so stick it to the chest. We might need to upgrade this to an iron chest later. Did I see a bee? How did a bee wind up in here? It'd be even funnier if this place was airtight. So, we got that, and we're going to need to put some filters on here. I think we're going to need one down here. And now the only way to actually get all of these on the same tubes, if we actually put them as redstone tubes, is by sending the timer pulse onto this one. So we'll need the timer here. No, we'll have the timer here. Maybe we'll have a breakout lever area where we'll just place the lever down there. And I actually have a stick! Yay! Sticks for the win! I'll flip your switch. Okay, so getting into the little odd areas, we'll have to orient these properly, like so and like so. And we're probably going to need one here. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think 13 is probably a good amount. Let's see how many this will give us. Okay. One, two, three. Okay, so 13 is a good amount. And we'll just take this off and add 3 more, and we should be good. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so all we need is the timer and a bit of red alloy, or redstone. Actually, 1 piece of redstone should be more than enough to get everything. And we'll just need to orient this and put a few dusts into the inventory and see how this goes. And we're going to actually need to paint the tube so that the default goes there. And also we're going to need this tube to go to the black tubes as well, so the main output. And that's going to be a bit of a sticky wicket. So maybe if we have, that actually might work. Let's see. This is not the output, but let's see. We're going to color this tube as black, but we're going to, no, do we want this as black or something else? We'll put it as purple. So the retriever will be purple. This will be colored purple, and the other tube will go out like so, but this won't be purple. This will be sent so that the default turns to black if we set it to the right amount. Other way. Black so that it'll actually go to the black and can't go to the purple. And kind of vice versa. So we'll just have to jump into here and find that retriever. I'll do that and put a few dusts in and throw some stuff in to see if it actually works. Be right back. Okay, so here we go. We got most of the stuff. Now this filter, I made a filter instead of a transposer to make it a little easier. So we don't have to add a restriction tube there. We're going to change this to black as well. So whatever items come out here will be black and will be allowed over into this one. So instead of being able to go to all this order again, which would be a pain in the ass, we can get this to work a bit better. Then again, it doesn't really matter if it goes to this order again, though efficiency wise, whatever. So I added some dust into here, and we're going to need to see if this actually works. So what I think I'm going to do is actually put a variety of dust into here. So I'll get some diamond, red garnet, iron dust, and etc. and see if it gets pulled out. So iron dust, diamond dust, we'll just take all of it, and we'll probably take, oops, I forgot to add uranium again. And we're also going to take a quantity that cannot be measured, so to speak. Do I actually have silver dust in this system though? No, I do not. So I'm going to need to add it to the system, and now it's not going to be a proper quantity, or a different quantity rather. So white, we'll just throw one of these back in, actually throw it into here. Haha! You shall now disappear! And let's actually try this. So we're not going to put it in that sorter because we pretty much know that it'll work. So let's see. Okay, that seems to be working. And 4 iron dust was put out. Now it doesn't seem like iron dust is getting up. What the? What? Oh, fudge. Come on, that's just cheating. And you know it. So, obviously, we're going to have to take the silver dust out here. And take that out again, and that'll be fine, I guess. But let's try again. Anything else needed? Unless the filter is set to stupid. Let's try this once more. Okay, 43 silver diamond dust was put in here. That's not what we asked for. We asked for only 4 diamond dust. So that's a bit of a problem. Are we going to need a sorting machine again to be able to handle it? I hope not. Though it's starting to look like that might be the case. So maybe there's a mode for the sorting machine that will allow that. I think because this system obviously isn't working, I'll look a bit and see what we can do. But otherwise, we're kind of out of luck on this design. Okay, I think there is a mode for this, so let's actually break one of these. We're going to have a bit of an annoyance with all of this dust, but we're going to have to just throw it all into here because we're still going to need all of these. So we got nice 9, and we are missing one, aren't we? Meh. Oh well, so let's throw this sorting machine down now and rotate it until it's at... Hey, stop that! I don't want bouncy, bouncy, bouncy! You know, this is starting... There we go. How the heck did I get... Anyways, so let's take all of this nonsense out of the picture. And hey, can you actually get the right nonsense, please? Thank you. That probably isn't going to be necessary anymore. So I think this one will be able to satisfy anything in here. So if we put the right amount of dust, so let's take tiny ruby dust for instance. So it needs to satisfy 4 tiny ruby dust, and obviously the color doesn't really matter, so we'll just put it to see. Why are you there? I don't even know. Let's try this again. Place down here, rotate like a madman until it's facing the right way, and actually try this again. And it's the 4th mode, and we'll turn this to white just because, so tiny ruby dust should be able to satisfy this. So we're going to also need to bring a cable down, so I believe we have the cables, yes we do. And here we go, let's power this up, and let's get some tiny ruby dust, so that we'll be able to tell if this actually is working. And we'll put 5 tiny ruby dust instead. There we go, 5 tiny ruby dust. Here we go, at your service, madame. And we'll throw this into the chest. Now obviously, because this is set to redstone trigger, nothing will work, but once that's done, it pulled out 5 of the tiny ruby dust and left the other single one left to its own devices, and now the tiny ruby dust... Sorry, not the tiny ruby dust, the full ruby dust is being sent on its way. So let's clean this up. We're not going to need some of the stuff that's here, such as the filter down here, and etc. So I'll button this place up and put a few more dusts in, and now we should be able to at least get a few more things than we had before. This should work. So I'll see you in a minute. Or a few seconds. You gotta love time skip. Okay, turns out I did a royal goof. So instead of actually having the retriever hooked up to the sorter, or vice versa, depending on how you want to think of it, it was actually the retriever was hooked up to the input. It was hooked up to this tube, which was the input, and not the other one. Now, I should probably have these labeled somehow. I wish I could. Maybe have redstone tubes as the input and the other as the output. I guess it's really not too bad. Anyway, so now that we got that little thing sorted out, we'll probably actually want to test this. So I'll try my best to button it up a bit better than last time, i.e. not break anything. And then we'll just see how this actually goes. Yay! Okay, so I left this little sorting machine here just in case anything bad happens. And let's actually grab a bit of ore from somewhere. Ah, yes, let's actually go into our nice little mining age. I should have enough memory to see if we actually can get some nickelite. Nickelite we'll definitely need for our next little project, and I do mean little. But let's grab this nickelite for one, and we'll grab those 2 pieces of nickelite as well after we kill something a little dreaded. These. And this. And it seems like we got a veritable vein of nickelite, though I don't want to be too vain, so let's just go back to the overworld. Sorry, our domain, and throw this into our sorter, and I'll be back after I think it'd be good time. Nah, let's try to go about this. So 3 stacks, not stacks, 3 ores of nickelite. And we'll see how well this actually goes. So it went in, and the byproduct should be diamond dust, I do believe. So it'll go over and manage to make its way into the relay. So if we look in here, and I should have buttoned this up, we'll be able to eventually see that it is not really going anywhere, is it? Probably stuck somewhere. One moment. Okay, for some reason the nickelite is actually stuck in... it's not actually getting allowed to go anywhere. Oh! Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. In here. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 here. We actually have 2 ores that are different. Okay, I'm probably going to have to figure out how to fix that, but the remedy that we can do right now is put another nickelite ore. So I'll grab one of those and throw it in and see if that actually helps. Well, it should. It's my screw-up. You know, I wonder if I'll actually have a screw-up that's not a minor little inconvenience like this. Okay, so this can't accept any of that, so let's just throw the nickelite in here, and finally it's actually getting processed. And it seems like it's actually getting allowed to go in, so that should be okay. So let's actually wait and see if it goes into the grinder, which it should, after a bit of time. Time lapse! And now it's going into the grinder, and we'll get some byproducts from this. Should be tiny piles of diamond dust will be one of them, as you can see, and empty cells. So, do the tiny piles go in? Yes, they should. So it should have made its way into here. And then if we look, it's not actually in here. Huh. So the retriever is borking somehow. Yeah, the retriever looks stuck. Are you stuck? Tell me, are you stuck? Are you feeling lucky, punk? Go in here. And all the items have escaped. So unless tiny piles of diamond dust aren't in there, or it's completely bypassing it, which is a possibility, which it seems like it might actually be doing. Okay, so it should be going up and through, unless it's not going through. It should be going through, and thus should find its way into here first of all. Yes, it did. Okay, the tiny piles of diamond dust are there. Let's throw another piece of nickelite in and see if it actually turns into the full diamond dust. Okay, for fun or profit, hard to tell which one it is, I've got 5 ores, so we'll just be able to easily throw this in, and it should make its way into the little sorter over here. So let's actually watch and see how it goes. That completely bypasses it, and it all goes into here. The tin cell went in, so the nickelite went in, and the diamond dust went in, so presto changeo, it should have, there we go, it made its way, and finally it'll get sorted once more and end up in one of the chests. I don't think I actually, no I didn't, I'm gonna need another sorter to be able to do that, but it should, well it is working right now. So the only thing that we'll need to do to change this in the future is actually have it so that there's, well, more tiny piles of dust. So I'm probably going to need to go NEI in hand and take every single dust out of here, create it rather, because there is, oh my, actually I don't think I'd have enough room for all this dust. Let's see. 8. There's like 64 dust there. And there's only what? That, oh god. We'd need another sorter to be able to do that. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dearie me. I think this is good for now, so we shouldn't have to worry about this. Now there's probably an easier way to figure this out, but I think that's fine. And we should be good to go to just close up every little part of here. And then maybe actually have a cup of tea or some sort of thing. Maybe some Tim Hortons or coffee, right? Okay, now that we actually have all this Nicolite and etc., we can actually start working on something I've been waiting to actually attempt. We are going to build a frame quarry. Not just a frame quarry, we're going to probably attempt to make it as small as the quarry that we managed to make in our season, what? I didn't even manage to do it in 2.5. In season 2. So, let's actually see what we need in this crafting table, get rid of all the useless stuff that we're probably not going to use for most of our crafting in Red Power, and then we can do a little fun stuff. So, one of the main things we're going to actually need in a frame quarry is, well, you guessed it, frames. To get frames, it's easy enough, but we're going to need to make some of our bronze ingots. So let's get the silicon wafers, which we're going to need eventually. And let's make, I think this will make actually 4 stacks of bronze. Now I'm not too sure whether the bat box will be able to hold out with just 6 solar panels as well as all this stuff feeding on it. But it should be able to go well. What do we have? Like 5 sorters? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll sort itself out. So we have all that stuff, and we're processing a bunch of ores. So that's going to take a bit of energy. So this brass ingots will be used for our frames. Now we're also going to need a heck of a lot of wood. So let's grab our wood, and we're going to need to make a stack of sticks. More than a stack of sticks, rather. Let's see, we have 4 of this already, so let's get this out and this out. We're going to need to make 8 stacks of sticks. 8 stacks, there we go. Now let's actually arrange these in an actual area, and what we'll do is create all of our frames in this recipe. So let's wait for our nice, it's going to only take 2 seconds, 10 seconds rather. Let's wait for at least a stack of brass ingots. This seems like it's holding out well. In fact, it doesn't seem like it's even touching our battery box supply. So we're definitely in good hands in that regard. So, here we go. We'll throw these sticks into the inventory and at least get a stack of, ooh, that's a nice healthy amount. And 1 stack of support frames. Now we're probably going to need a lot more than this, but it's at least a good start. Now another thing we're going to need to do is make the motors. I think the motors, other than all of the other fancy doodads, is the main thing that we're going to need. So let's see. Our frame motors are here. So that's going to require more brass, more iron, blue alloy ingots, and blue electric motors, which is going to require some copper coils. So let's get the copper coils, but as you saw from the recipe that was here, we need fine copper wires, which require a diamond draw plate, which requires this. A diamond pane and more panes, if you get my drift. So we're going to need to grab quite a bit of iron for this, and only going to need to compress 1 block worth. So let's see, 9. If you please. Thank you. Now we got the block of iron. We're going to need to cut this up a bit. So got this, we got our panels, and we're going to need to cut 2 of these panels. So we got our strips, but the remaining of these we're going to, at a loss, change back. So we got these, and we already have our diamond panel. So let's grab that, just throw it in, and we got our draw plate. So let's make a bunch of the fine wire right now, and we'll put it in the arrangement that we had before. So there's that, and we're also going to want to get some of these iron bars. Here we go. A stack should do. And let's see. And we're going to need iron ingots. So once we throw these in, and put that in and there, we can get our nice copper coils, and we are going to need, I believe, 12 frame motors. So we're going to need 24 of these copper coils. That's obviously not enough. We only have 10. We have a whole 10 actually, so I'm kind of surprised at the fact that we managed to get that. So we need 24 actually, 24 of these. So I'll go craft these. We're going to need to get some more copper, though I think we have enough copper for this. This should be enough, actually. This should be enough, and my draw plate's in there, isn't it? Yep. Yoink. Now, I believe the draw plate, correct me if I'm wrong, is good for an entire 4 stacks of copper. So it seems like it's almost at the end of its life, but we should be good. So let's get how many we're going to need from here. There's 15. We're going to need 9 more, so I'll complete the bars, which will probably only be 3 sets, and then we'll get the motors. Okay, it seems like we got all the copper coils, so we can just get that out of the way and put the other recipe, which is our actual motor, the blue electric motor, and here we go. So we're going to need 12 of these, so a lot of iron will be used. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now once we get this, we're just going to need to get some more brass. Throw this in as well because it's another part of the recipe. And here we go. Ha! Now the only problem with this is the fact that we are going to need more iron. So I believe I have iron processing currently. Whoo, that is a lot of iron. And we got a bunch of other dusts as well. Let's see which dust managed to make its way in here. Gold dust. So let's throw the gold dust into our crafting. Here. And here. We'll throw it here instead, even though it can work anywhere. So now gold dust is a possibility. We still have some stuff in the relay, though we can work on that later. It's still going to take a while to process everything else. I actually think that some more iron is actually in the relay, so that's fine enough. So let's get 2 more stacks. That's all we're going to need. In fact, it's a little overboard. There we go. So we got all of the frame motors that we're going to need. So let's throw this into our inventory, throw that into our inventory, and we're pretty much, although we are going to need a few things, set to start our frame contraption. Just probably grabbing this amount of brass ingots, we'll be able to make 1 more stack, and then we'll be set to actually start crafting. We'll have some nice resources at our disposal, just in case we need anything else. Well, I think that's actually all the time we have for this episode of EEPower. So what we're going to do next episode is build an age, our new quarry age, and start our quarrying. And, well, not our quarrying, because we actually need to make something called a quarry to be able to start doing that. So I'll be able to start setting that up, and we'll be able to just jump right in it for next time. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of EEPower. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. WayofTime here, signing off. Have a wonderful day.